You can do everything right in this business and still feel stuck. You make the calls, you go to the appointments, you follow up, you work weekends, and somehow the results never quite match your effort. And you start to wonder what the other agents above you are doing that you're not. I've spent my career building one of the top teams in my market and coaching agents who started with nothing and become some of the best producers around the country. And after watching thousands of agents either make it or wash out, here's what I've come to believe. Real estate isn't won by the agents who do the most. It's won by the ones who understand a few hidden things happening underneath every conversation, every appointment, every price discussion. Things almost nobody else even notices. They're not tactics. They're the reasons your tactics work or don't. And most agents go a whole career without seeing a single one of them. So if you watch one real estate video this year, let it be this one, because I'm about to show you what those things actually are. And real quick, if you'd rather be coached through all of this than figure it out on your own, that's exactly what we do inside my Agent Success Academy. You get the scripts, the systems, and a room full of agents all growing together. The link is in the description of this video. Law number one, the first no was never real. So stop reacting to it. Here's a word you hear all day in this business: no. And almost every agent treats it like it's a wall. The seller says no, and you politely back off, thank them for their time, and move on. I want to show you why that single habit is costing you more listings than anything else you do. The first no you get from a seller is almost never the real answer. It's a reflex. I call it a smokescreen. When you call a for sale by owner or an expired and they say they're not interested, that's not a decision they sat down and thought through. It's the automatic thing people say to get an agent off the phone. They've said it 100 times to 100 agents. It comes out before their brain is even engaged. So when you respect that first no, you're respecting something that isn't real. You're treating a reflex like it was a conclusion. This matters because almost every other agent calling that seller is also backing off at the exact same no. So the seller has trained themselves that the smokescreen works every single time. It clears the agent out, which means the moment you don't flinch at it, you're already doing something different from everyone who called before you. So here's the move. When you get that first no, don't argue with it and don't accept it. Just step right past it like it was never said and ask a question instead. If a seller says they're not interested, you don't say, okay, sorry to bother you. You say something like, I understand. Can I ask you, why do you think the home didn't sell the first time? Now you're not fighting the no. You've just quietly moved the conversation to the real issue, and you would be amazed how often they answer you, because the smokescreen was never meant to stop a real conversation. It was only meant to stop a pitch. I've watched this for years with expireds and for sale by owners. The agent who hears no and hangs up gets nothing. The agent who hears that same no, ignores it, and immediately asks why they think it didn't sell, ends up in an actual conversation about price, about the last agent, about what they're frustrated with. Once you're actually in that conversation and you get to the subject of price, there's a second hidden thing happening, and it goes against everything you've ever been told about how to price a home. I'm going to give you law number two. Pricing just under the round number is quietly costing you the best buyers. Every agent in the world believes the same thing about pricing. You price just under the round number, like $399 instead of $405. It feels smart. It feels like you're being clever, getting in under the threshold so more people see it. I'm going to show you why that instinct is actually pulling the wrong buyers to your listing. When you price a home at $399.9 to sneak under $400, you don't just attract more buyers, you attract weaker ones. You pull in the people whose budget tops out around that price. The bargain hunters, the ones stretching to their absolute limit. Meanwhile, the stronger, more qualified, more committed buyers, the ones searching in the right bracket for that home, never even see it because you priced it into a pool of people who can barely afford it. This matters because the price you set doesn't just decide how many buyers look, it decides what kind of buyer looks. A bigger pool of weak buyers gives you more showings and more headaches and more deals that fall apart at the financing stage. See, a smaller pool of strong buyers gives you cleaner offers, and a smoother closing. Most agents are optimizing for the wrong thing. They want traffic. You want the right traffic. So when you sit with a seller, don't automatically reach for the cute under threshold number. Have the real conversation. Sometimes pricing a little higher, landing the home in the bracket where the generally qualified buyers are shopping, puts you in front of better people with more realistic budgets, instead of a crowd of bargain hunters who will waste everyone's time. You're not pricing to be seen by the most people. You're pricing to be seen by the right people. Think about how buyers actually search. Somebody seriously looking in the low 400s sets their search from 400 to 450. Your $399 listing, the one you were so clever about, doesn't even show up for them. The smart price quietly worked against you the entire time. Now, pricing is a listing skill. And that points to the third hidden law, the one that explains why two agents can put in the exact same hours and end up with completely different lives. Law number 3, working with buyers is choosing to work twice as hard for half the certainty. The whole industry treats this like it doesn't matter. Buyers or sellers, work with whichever you like. It's just personal preference. Pick your flavor. And that advice quietly traps thousands of agents in the harder half of this business without them ever realizing they made a choice. Here's the truth nobody says out loud. A listing business and a buyer business are not two equal paths. They are completely different lives. A listing-based business runs on a clock. You prospect in a set window. You control your schedule, and your income becomes predictable because the activity is predictable. A buyer-based business runs on chaos. You work nights, you work weekends, you're driving all over town on the buyer's timeline, and every single day looks different from the last. This matters because predictable activity is what creates predictable income, and predictable income is what gives you the life you want. The agent built on listings can plan their week, their family time, and their year. The agent built on buyers is always reacting, always on call, working twice as hard for an income that's harder to count on. It's the same effort, but with completely different certainty. I'm not telling you to never work with a buyer. Buyers from your past clients and referrals are some of the best business there is. What I'm telling you is to stop treating the choice like it's neutral. If you want a predictable income in an actual life, you build your business on listings and let buyers be the bonus, not the foundation. Choose it on purpose instead of drifting into the harder path because someone told you it was just the flavor. Now, watch any two agents in the same office put in the same hours. The one built on buyers is exhausted, glued to their phone every evening, never sure what the next month brings. The one built on listings is doing the same volume, but is home for dinner and can tell you roughly what they'll close 90 days out. The difference was never effort, it was which business they chose to build. Now, if you do build on listings, you're going to spend a lot of time in living rooms, competing for the job. And the fourth law is about who you're competing against, because it's almost never who you think. And again, if any of this is landing for you and you want to be coached through it instead of figuring out alone, that's exactly what we do inside Agent Success Academy. You can find the link in the description of this video. Now, the fourth law. Your competition isn't the other agent. It's the seller's memory of their last agent. See, when you walk into a listing appointment, you think you're competing against the other agent the seller is interviewing. So you spend all your energy trying to look better than that agent. Better marketing, better photos, better track record. And you're fighting the wrong battle entirely. The real thing you're up against in that room isn't the other agent. It's the seller's memory of the last agent who let them down, especially with an expired listing. This person already hired somebody, already got promises, and already got disappointed. They're not sitting there comparing you to your competitor. They're sitting there wondering if you're going to be just like the last one who failed them. Now, why does this matter? Because if you don't address that disappointment, it doesn't matter how good your presentation is. They're listening to you through a filter of, I've heard this before. Every promise you make sounds like the promises that were already broken. You can win the comparison against the other agent and still lose because the real objection in the room was never about the other agent at all. So instead of pretending the last experience didn't happen, bring it up before they do. Ask them what they think went wrong the first time. Ask what they wish the last agent had done differently. When you let them say it out loud, two things happen. They feel understood, which no other agent bothered to do, and you find out the exact thing you have to solve to win the listing. You stop competing on who has the shinier presentation and start competing on who actually understood why they got burned. I mean, think about an expired seller. Every agent calling them is saying some version of, I can sell your home. But that's the exact promise that just failed them. The agent who instead asks, why do you think it didn't sell, and really listens, is the only one treating them like a person instead of a transaction. That seller doesn't pick the agent with the best slides. They pick the one who understood why they were frustrated in the first place. And that brings us to the last wall, the quietest one, the thing your client is judging before you said a single word about any of this. Law number 5. Your client is silently pricing your confidence before you made your case. Long before your client decides whether to hire you, they've already decided something else, whether they trust your certainty. And they read it off you in the first few minutes before you said a word about marketing or any numbers. Think about what you're actually asking a seller to do. You're asking them to trust you with the biggest financial decision of their life, and human beings have a radar for hesitation. It's a little like how a dog barks at the person who's scared of dogs, but ignores the person who's calm. People sense fear. When a client senses that you're unsure, they go into protection mode without even realizing it. And that protection mode comes out as objections, more questions, more pushback, more, let me think about it. The agent who seems unsure gets buried in objections. The agent who's calm and certain barely gets any. So here's the strange truth. The objections you get are often a mirror. They're not really about your commission or your price. They're about how much confidence the client felt coming off of you. So stop trying to avoid the hard conversations and start initiating them. The unsure agent prays the seller won't bring up commission. The confident agent brings it up first. You can walk and say, most sellers want to talk about commission at some point, so let's just put that on the table right now. The moment you raise the hard thing before they do, you've told their subconscious that you're not afraid of it, and the pushback quietly disappears. That's what real confidence looks like. Not hoping the tough questions never come up, but being the one who asks first. And here's where confidence actually comes from. It comes from preparation. The agent who has practiced the conversation 100 times walks in calm because there's nothing in that room they haven't already handled. The client feels that calm, reads it as certainty, and decides to trust them with the most important decision they'll make. That's the whole game. So those are the hidden laws. But knowing what's running the game underneath is one thing. Knowing the bigger lessons that took me a whole career to learn is another. That's exactly what I put together in this video right here, where I walk you through 30 years of real estate advice and give you the lessons I wish someone had given me when I started. So I'll see you there.